last one. So I'll just go through it, and if you have any questions, let me know. So let's start by sharing my screen with you. Let me just minimize these other things. And put that there. Okay. And what I wanted to look at today, I've had a couple of requests in the last few weeks for me to show people how to replay the hands that we've played online. And I just wanted to go through some of these options. I did a video on this subject a few years ago, but there are some new options now, and I'll just show them to you. So there are a number of different ways you can replay the hands that were played. And I'm just, for as an example, bringing up the hand records from last Thursday, September the 11th. And if you played in the game, you'll get an email with a summary of your percentage, a summary of some of your scores, and a link to this game, which is on Pianola. And you can look at your scores on here, and you have a screen like this, and depending, you can, most what people click on their names, and it comes up with a link that shows them how they did in each board. And obviously here, you know, red is bad and green is good, and it shows you the your result on each board and how well you did on each board. There is something called Pianola Plus, which gives you the ability to replay the hand, but you don't get that unless you subscribe to it. However, there's not much point in subscribing to it because although the graphics are nice on Pianola, and it sends out the sort of nice customized email for you, the ability to replay the hand, you can get that for free on the other websites I'm going to look at. So that's why I put the results on two websites, on here on the Pianola website, so that you get a customized email when the results are posted. And you can still also look at the results on the RealBridge website and on the Bridgewebs website, and we'll look at both of those. So I'm talking here about games that are played on RealBridge. Obviously, other people play games on BBO, and that will be different. But for RealBridge games, you will get, you can go in and look at the results you've got, and you get a very similar format of the hands that were played and the scores on them. And this is very similar to what you see during the game. So, you know, while the game is going on, you can look at the scores. So you can, you know, look at a number of things. What I tend to do when I've played is I may start off looking at some of the boards where we didn't do very well. So here I'm just looking at a Jay and Roma's card, and, you know, going down here, you might look at some of these red ones. And if you want to look at that in more detail, you can click here on the contract, and it brings up this, I'll just move that over there. It brings up this matrix, sorry, this hand record that shows how the board was actually played. And what you can do is click here on the right arrow, and it will show you card by card or trick by trick how it was played. Another thing you might want to do is, before you do that, is click on this DDS, which stands for Double Dummy Solver, and that will show you for each card that's played whether it was the best card that was led or not the best. And here, for example, it's saying that against a contract of 3 hearts by North, East is on lead, and it's saying that if you lead any of the spades, the contract will go down 1. If you lead a heart, the contract can make, and then here, if you lead one of these aces, it can go down 2, or if you lead a low club, it will go down 1. So it turns out that on this board, the best lead for the defense, which can defeat the contract by 2 tricks, is one of the aces. So that's a little unusual. So, but we'll see what actually happened in it. So if I click here on the first trick, and it shows what was actually played. And East here led the 8 of spades, and that little blue one basically says that that was not the best lead. So as we saw, it turned out the best lead was one of the aces, and leading the 8 of spades cost a trick. On all the other tricks, it's got this little tick, which means that no mistake was made. The best card was played. Okay, so that's a thing to look out for if you're replaying it on RealBridge. You see this little blue. So if we go on to the next trick, we see again the lead of a spade. It's saying was not the best lead there. And if you go back, you can see what it's suggesting the best lead is one of these -1 cards that could lead to a defeat of a contract by 1 trick. And if you replay this, I mean, very often you'll see very many cards that are played are not the right cards, both by the defender and by declarer. But it's up to you to decide whether you think that was a reasonable lead in that case. So again, we go through the next trick, and here it's saying that declarer was on lead, and they shouldn't have led the King of Diamonds. If I go back, they're saying that you can make the contract if you draw trumps here. If you start with a heart, but you can be defeated by 1 trick if you lead a diamond or a club. So there's a lot to look at on these, and sometimes, obviously, the computer is saying what the optimum card to play is. That's based on double dummy analysis. Double dummy refers to basically looking at all 4 hands, and here the computer has worked out what the best line of play is. So it isn't necessarily that you've made a mistake if the computer says you didn't find the right card there, but that's what it means, and you can look at that and think about it. So that's quite a powerful method of analyzing the hand records. The hand records remain on there, and you can look at them afterwards. The other place you can look at the hand records is on the Pianola website, which is a Bridgewebs website. So I'll close this one now, and I'll switch to the Pianola website, and you can find this link if you go onto the results page and look at any particular results. And this also has the link back to the RealBridge website that we were just looking at. So again, if you played in a game, you can get very similar information here. Again, this is the one I normally use, and I must say I normally start off by clicking on my name. I didn't play here, and I'll get a very similar result, a very similar summary of the results. This one also has the suggested bidding. So as you know, if I'm doing if I've done a lesson on a particular topic, then some of the hands will have the suggested bidding. If it does, that was one on the topic. If it doesn't, then it was just one of the just a random hand. And another thing I'll point out on here is Bridgewebs came out with a new interface to their website, and you can switch to it at any time by clicking here on switch to the 2022 edition. I think it came out in 2022 or 2023, and it's very, very similar, but the graphics look a little bit different. But you can do very similar things. Click here on to see how it was played. I must say I'm more familiar with the classic, what they call the classic edition. So that's the one I'm going to be showing more in this demonstration of how to analyze the boards. But they have essentially the same information if you go to the newer edition. the 2022 edition. So again, if you are looking at your results on this, you might start by clicking on the results and then perhaps looking at some of the boards where you didn't get a good result. So you might sort of go down here. I mean, this J and Roma came top here, but they had one or two bad results. So you might look at those. For example, board 8, we only got 8%. So if you click on that, it shows you what everyone did on that board, and you can see that North South didn't do very well on that because East West made one no trump. And this little grid here shows makeable contracts, and it says that East West, with best possible defense, shouldn't be able to make one no trump. The only contract that East West can make is one club. So again, if you want to replay that, you might click here on this link here, and the first time you do that, it will come up with two different ways that you can look at the boards. BSOL, Bridge Solver Online, or BBO. And the BBO thing was a later edition. You can choose whichever you prefer, and I'll just show you briefly both of them. If I click here on BBO, it comes up, sorry, I'll move that over again. It comes up with a hand that was played, and this is using the BBO graphics of what was played, how the bidding went, or what the hands were. So this is something, if you played on BBO, you'll be familiar with. And then you can go through here and click on next to see which card was played, and you can see the tricks as they go. If you want at any stage to get a look at whether that was the optimum card to play, what you have to do is click here on the GIB button, and it will come up and show you whether that was the best card. Very similar to the RealBridge display we looked at just now. The only thing with this display, although the graphics look quite nice, you have to keep clicking on GIB if you want to show at any point what whether the card being played is optimum or not. So I prefer not the BBO display, but I prefer to switch the viewer to BSOL, the Bridge Solver Online, because that has a bit more information on the screen and makes it a bit more accessible. So let's have a look at this hand there, and you can see if you click here, which I'm going to in a minute, it will show you how it was played, one no trump by West. And I can also click here on any of these other fields, so I can play it in any contract I want. But if I click here, it will show how it should be played and how it was played. So let's have a look at this. Here it's one no trump by West, so North is on lead. And what it's saying here, if you look at this little grid here, it's saying that any of the green squares are optimum cards to lead, and in this case will lead to 7 tricks for this side for North South. In other words, will lead to a defeat. If you lead these other cards, the 4 of hearts or the 9 of diamonds, it's got a little 6 there, which says that that's sub-optimum for you, and it will lead to declare being able to make one more trick. And then it's got this little blue asterisk, which shows you what was actually led. So here, North made the reasonable lead of the 2 of spades, and then we can just click through and see which card was actually played, and whether there was any, whether they played the optimum way or not. So let's go through this again. Now declare us on lead, and you can lead any of the green cards. Declare actually led the 2 of clubs, the Jack won the trick, and North shifted here to the 10 of hearts. By the way, just because this comes up in green doesn't mean that this was the right card to lead. If you were going to lead from a holding of King Jack 10, actually you should probably be leading the Jack, the top of an interior, so you could stop the 10. But of course, those cards are equivalent in the sense of both leading to the same result. So again, you can click here and see what was actually led, and let's carry on with that. Now they switched to a diamond, and they played the 10. They won that one, and they played a club here, and Declarer here is about to lead something that's not optimal, and they're going to lead the King of Clubs, and you can see the computer is saying that could lead to just 5 tricks for the for East-West here. So it could be down 2. And you can sort of go through this yourself and see, what the computer thinks. I mean, there are some very strange ones here, like at this moment, Declarer's led the 10 of clubs, and they're saying that North should discard a spade there, the 5 or Jack of spades, which could lead to 9 tricks for North-South. And that it's a mistake to discard the 9 of diamonds. And if you want to deviate from the play at any stage, then you can just change it. You can just change what you want, how you want to play, and see how it would go being played in a different way. So I think that's a very, very powerful tool to help you analyze your game. Anyone got any questions on any of that so far? Then I'll close that up. I'll just look at one board that I thought was quite interesting in terms of looking how it actually was played. And this was board 1. So I click here on board 1, and I can see everyone was in 3 no trump by East, but it varied. 2 people went down, and others made over tricks. So, this would be the kind of board that I'd be interested in looking at to see if you went down, where it went wrong. And what you might do is you might start looking at someone who made that. You click here on play, and I've just removed the people's names here because I don't really want to embarrass anyone. And then we can see how it went here. So we'll click here, and first thing it's saying is that South should the optimum lead here is a spade. Now I wouldn't expect anyone to lead a spade there because you've only got 3 and you've got 5 hearts. So in fact, everyone did lead a heart there. This particular South led their 4th highest heart, and again, that's not strictly speaking the right card to lead, although it didn't affect it which heart you led here. You've got what's top of a near sequence, Jack 10 8. So the Jack would have been the normal lead there anyway, but they led a heart here, and the computer is saying that Declarer's on track for 11 tricks here, and this was an example of a Declarer who I think did quite well. They switched to a diamond and played low from dummy. You can see it makes a difference of 2 tricks. If you take your ace there, you might only make 9 tricks rather than 11. And North won that, switched to a club, and continued with diamonds, and they lost that trick. But now the diamonds are established, so now after Declarer wins that, they cross to dummy's Queen of Hearts and were able to cash the diamonds. And here you see a massive difference depending on what you play. You'll make 11 tricks if you cash the ace of diamonds. If you were to play a low diamond, of course, you'd only make 7 tricks. So here the declarer did a good job, cash their diamonds, and then they've got so right at the end here, you can see, looking at all 4 hands, that if they were to try the spade finesse, North's got the king, so it would succeed. But they didn't do that. They played a heart over to the ace, which won the trick. But now, because North had discarded a spade there, the finesse doesn't need to work. It dropped the king, and they made 11 tricks there. So these hands, I think they're very useful to look at and see, what went wrong. In particular, I would look at sometimes, if you went down in a contract, but you see other people made it. So if you were one of the declarers who went down here, I would definitely look at that, see how other people played it, and hopefully learn from that. So that was really all I wanted to cover tonight. There are a few other things that you can see if you look at the boards here. So if I go here and look at the boards, there's other information that you can see. So, for example, if you hover the cursor over one of these hands, it will give you an analysis of each hand in terms of the high card points. It counts something like length points for a 5-card suit, shortage points for singletons or doubletons. And the other thing that's quite useful there is it shows the number of losers at the bottom using the losing trick count. So that's something you may find useful. There's other stuff there as well. And we can, I think, if we click here, we can bring up, sorry, let's click here. If we click here, we can bring up some other information. Let's go. Oh, I'll show you this. This is a thing to view things larger. Let me get rid of that. So if I close that, you can change the display and see things in a slightly different format. This at the bottom on the left, I think, is quite useful. If you don't look at it, I would suggest you do, because it shows you how many times you would declare a dummy, or how many times you made the opening lead, or how many times you were the defender that didn't make the opening lead, and your average score in each position. So that it shows you also the distribution. So there's a lot of stuff to look at there. I think the most useful stuff is replaying the boards and seeing if you made a mistake somewhere. So that was really the main thing I wanted to cover this evening. Anyone have any questions on any of that?
Tony, Barbara here.
Hello, Barbara.
Are you going to put this onto YouTube?
Yes.
Because I'd like to look at it again slowly.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I will put it on YouTube. And there are other features I haven't covered on here as well. For example, in the new version, they have other information, or slightly different information in terms of the display, and they also have this analysis, which is, I think, similar information to what we've just seen, in a slightly different format. Anyway, so do play around with it. I think it's very useful for analyzing where you went wrong and where you could do better. Anyone have any other comments? I'll end the talk there, and I hope you find that useful. I will be putting this on YouTube, and do have a look at it again, or let me know if you have any questions. But I'll end the talk there. We've got the game coming up at 7:30, And if you will need a partner, just join the game and sit at a table, and I'll come over and find a partner for you. Okay. Thank you all very much. And
Thank you.
see you in a
Bye.
few minutes, some of you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.